Think about the most capable person you know. Never complains. Never asks for help. Never needs recognition. They don't explain themselves. They just handle everything. No drama. No noise. That's not personality. That's conditioning. And it comes from one generation nobody talks about. Generation X. We obsess over boomers. We dissect Gen Z like a new species. But this generation sits right in the middle, barely mentioned, almost invisible. That's not an accident. They built the modern world, raised themselves, survived 3 economic collapses, and deliberately made sure you forgot about them. When you understand why, it'll change how you see every quiet, competent adult in your life. Imagine you're 8 years old. 1978. You come home, put your key in the door, walk into silence. No parent. No babysitter. No instructions. You make your own food. Do your homework. Figure things out. Not once. Every single day. This wasn't neglect. It was normal. By 1984, roughly 7 million children between 5 and 13 were regularly unsupervised after school. An entire generation learning one lesson: no one is coming. Figure it out. When there's no adult buffer, your brain stops waiting to be told what's dangerous. It learns to calculate outcomes in real time. You stop relying on guidance. You start relying on yourself. That 8-year-old wasn't just lonely. They were being rebuilt. But that wasn't even the hardest part. Gen X watched their parents do everything right. Work hard. Stay loyal. Build a family. Then watched it all fall apart anyway. Divorce rates exploded. Corporate layoffs gutted communities. The promise was, do the right thing and life rewards you. Gen X watched that promise break. Repeatedly. So they adapted. Not by rebelling. Not by getting loud. By quietly lowering their expectations of the world and raising their expectations of themselves. Psychologists call it defensive pessimism. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of becoming cynical, they became capable. Gen X doesn't talk about their work ethic. They just have one. Paper routes before sunrise. Calculating change when the register broke. Adult responsibility at 12, because no one else was handling it. They learn something most people discover much later. You can't control what happens to you. But you can control how useful you are when it does. That's not ambition. That's survival intelligence. And it created a paradox almost nobody notices. The most independent generation, and the most quietly loyal. They'll never ask for help. But if you need it, they show up. No announcement. No performance. They fix the problem and disappear. Because when you grow up alone, you don't just become independent. You learn to recognize the people who aren't. And you take care of them. Quietly. But there's a cost. And this is the part most people never see. When you learn early that no one is coming, you stop expecting anyone to. Even when they want to. Even when they try. So they keep things in. Don't over-explain. Don't overshare. Don't trust easily. Not because they're cold. Because they learned to survive without needing anyone. And once you learn that, it's hard to unlearn. They also learned that titles mean nothing. Competence does. Watergate. Iran-Contra. The fumbled AIDS crisis. People in power making catastrophic decisions with total confidence. So when someone walks in with status but no skill, Gen X already knows. They won't argue. Won't challenge you publicly. They'll just quietly stop respecting you and work around you. Gen X turned irony into a shield. Crack a joke. Keep people at arm's length. Laugh before it hurts. Not a personality quirk. A psychological strategy built under real pressure. They were children during the Cold War. Teachers explained nuclear annihilation like weather. Duck and cover drills, as if a desk stops a warhead. Adults said everything is fine while implying civilization could end tomorrow. Holding both realities at once builds what psychologists call cognitive dissonance tolerance. Functioning normally while knowing things might be broken underneath. That's why when crisis hits, they don't panic. They adjust. .com crash. 2008, pandemic. No spiral. Just adaptation. They've been adapting since they were 8. Gen X was the last generation forced to sit alone with their thoughts. No distraction. No instant answers. No one to call when something broke. So they learned to think. Deeply. Permanently. Cognitive psychologists call it deep encoding. Knowledge that costs effort integrates more permanently into memory. They grew up when the old world was dying and the new one hadn't been born. The bridge generation. Bridges don't get statues. Don't go viral. Don't ask to be seen. They just hold everything together, quietly, without asking anyone to notice. If there's someone like this in your life, a parent, a mentor, a coworker, someone always steady, always capable, there's a reason. They've handled more than they've ever explained, survived more than they've ever shown, and learned very early to carry it all without letting it show. Because the most Gen X thing of all? They don't need you to know. But maybe now, you do. If this hit, subscribe. New deep dives every week.